Hi everyone, it's Danielle here from VA Lifestyle Design. I've invited Rachel James to have a chat with me today. Rachel lives in Wales in the UK with her husband and her gorgeous little 3-year-old girl who I've had the honour of hanging out with on video calls over the last few months. So I wanted to really have a chat with Rachel today about her career startup as a VA and how she's approached that and kind of the things she's done practically and also the way she's thought about that. But we're going to dive into that first of all. Welcome, Rachel. Super cool to be chatting with you today.
Oh, thank you, Danielle. Yeah, you too.
Can I ask you first up, so can you share a little bit about what you were doing for your career before you started kind of thinking about this transition?
Yeah, sure. So I've been working in the accountancy field for like a decade. So I was in a sort of a small family firm for about 6 or 7 years. I went on maternity leave, then ended up in a big corporate firm for 2 years doing all the exams and all the professional stuff. So that was where I was at then when I decided it was time for change. Right.
But you enjoyed it, right?
Yeah. I think I enjoyed it at first, and then it's kind of everything shifts, especially after you've got a kid.
Yeah. And so what were the kind of decision-making factors? What started you thinking about actually finishing that up and like going, okay, here's where I draw the line. Here's where I'm going to make something happen, get my career going, get those clients on board.
So in terms of what was driving me, it was like the flexibility, I guess, and just like trying to build things around Lara.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. So what happened was Rachel had shared with me that she had started, I think it was really the beginning of this year or earlier in this year, diving into the online biz skills, right? Is that right?
Yeah. So I think, sorry, go on.
Yeah, and then just before we started working together one-on-one for a personal 90-day challenge that Rachel took on to ramp things up, just before that, she had connected with her first client. And first of all, before, like when that client came on board, what was the scenario there? How had you connected with that person? What were the skills you kind of already had under your belt by that time?
So I had kind of a, thinking back, I was kind of digged into the online biz skills this year. Yeah. After a long period of procrastinating, but I decided, right, enough's enough, time to dig in and really want to make this change happen. So I started digging into the online biz skills, got really, really involved in that, buddied up with some other girls in the group, and we were kind of bouncing off each other to get really into the proactive outreach, which you've got that awesome module on in the biz skills. Yeah.
I loved it when you shared that with me, that you kind of formed your own mastermind with that.
Yeah. Yep. We still chat. It was brilliant. That was so good. And we like made our Meister task boards together, and we were comparing boards. So yeah, that was awesome. That was great. And then from that, I connected with another VA who's got a team. And I'm in her group, and we've got a mutual friend.
Facebook group?
Yeah, she's got a little Facebook group. Plus, we've got a mutual friend. And she put a post up that she was looking for a trainee VA.
Right.
And it was just going to be in the similar skills to what I'd been already learning in the online biz skills.
Right.
So I just sent her a message. Not sure what you're looking for, what kind of rates and things, what kind of skills, but I'd be super interested. A bit about what I've been doing. Was this through Facebook Messenger or email? Yeah, this was Facebook Messenger. Yeah, I just popped her a message on there.
Yep.
And we hadn't spoken before or connected or anything, but we just started chatting, and she was just about to become a mum as well. It's like a superhero.
So she's got a team, she's about to have a baby, she's looking to get things kind of organized and sorted for going out off the air for a little while. Yep.
Absolutely, yeah. I think this was like a month before the baby arrived, a little bit earlier then.
That's how it's done.
Oh yeah. She's a rock star. But yeah, so we just started chatting, and then she was really interested in seeing if we could work together. So that was really exciting.
Right.
And there's this kind of just a tech VA service. So it's all the awesome techie fiddling with things
Yep. So all the implementation side of things. Yep. So the marketing is there, but it's about like getting in there and getting it done. Integrations, set up, refining systems. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all the implementation side, which is perfect.
Right.
That's exactly.
So she knew where you were at with it when you were coming on board. She knew that you were new to providing these services. You'd done some training, but you actually were getting your hands into it now. And she was, how did she feel about that?
Yeah, she was great. I mean, I was very transparent with, this is what I've kind of learned and where, but I'm just I'm trying to put it into practice. But yeah, obviously I didn't have any experience yet. And she was fine with that, to just hit the ground running and learn as you go.
Excellent. Actually, it's really interesting because something I was rewatching a video yesterday by Chase Reeves from fizzle.co. And he had this amazing video that he did a little while back called How to Be a Newbie and Win, and he was talking about embracing being a newbie, and how, you know, when you embrace being a newbie at the outset, that you increase your chances of that success over time. And it's been really interesting for me because Rachel and I have had this opportunity to connect every week on a video call over these last few months. It's just been really, really interesting for me seeing, you know, your joy and just curiosity. It's not even almost, it's exactly like you're playing. And it's like the clients just feel that and pick up on that and sense that. And so yesterday I was watching this video again by Chase Reeves, and he's talking about when someone embraces the fact that they're a newbie, it's like the ideas they get, their creativity changes than if they're trying to emulate someone who's so much further down the path. And because of that, it kind of seeps, the way he describes it in the video is like it seeps out and touches everything, every part of your experience, like your clients, the people you're connecting with or what have you. And watching you over these last 3 months, that's an almost perfect description for what I've seen happening with how people are being magnetized to what you're doing, without any need for you to be kind of putting yourself forward as like the expert who will take control of everything, but just so much curiosity and play with the implementation.
Yeah. I really like that description. Yeah, that's very much the case. Like, oh, what can I play with?
yes, exactly. It's true, right?
Yeah.
But so would you say there's hard work being in the mix there though? Like it's play, but like sometimes the brain cogs are going in overdrive. Does that happen?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And how have you kind of managed that so far, like early on? So now what are you're kind of like a few months in now, right? Because you just taken that client on just before we started working together. So about 4 months or so. Yeah,
that's it. It was just before we started working together, which was the start of August, I think.
Yes.
And just about the time that I'd given notice in my job.
Yes.
Yeah. So August, September, October. Yeah, nearly 4 months, coming up for 4 months, I think.
Right. And what are the things that you do, like when the brain cogs are turning? You're learning something, then you're being asked a new task, which you're not sure if you can do it or not, then you're actually doing the work. Like how do you kind of let that all settle in together, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the trick, isn't it? Definitely. Oh, I know. I think it's easy to get overwhelmed. Yeah. When everything is new. I know, like in particular with this team, before I started with the team, I did one trial task, and that was to set up a webinar on a system that I'd never seen before, and then integrate it with something else. And I'd never heard of either of them. And I thought, oh no, what am I doing? You know, all of the questions started in my head. And then it's just a case of taking a step back. And I think finding that confidence in like the curiosity that we talked about. Yeah. In the curiosity and having the skills to figure things out. Yep. And that is just massive, and that is the skill. In implementation.
The figuring out part is the work. Yep.
Yep, totally. And I think it's just finding the confidence in that. But you're never going to know everything.
Did it help to get I'm curious, like, I don't know, for me personally, part of my confidence in that came from seeing clients' reactions to just me being resourceful and figuring it out, like them being grateful for that, as opposed to, I didn't see them hesitating when I said I wasn't sure yet, but I did see them expressing gratitude and enthusiasm when I just got in and figured it out. Does part of your confidence evolve from seeing those reactions?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think it starts to come quite quickly once you start doing things and you feel like you're doing them well because you're doing a thorough job and all of the kind of things are starting to piece together.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've talked about this quite a bit over the last 3 months when everything starts piecing together.
Yeah.
I know Kung Fu. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. I totally know that feeling. I know how to move in this environment. It's not like it becomes less about the separate moves. Like I know this task and I know that system and it just becomes more about that general confidence of moving in this space more so than all the specific accurate like check boxes. That's
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of this awareness of what's going on and the whole
where to
mindset.
get your fingers on resources and so forth.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you'd mentioned about putting in your notice in work. So you had done that just before we started working together. And that was, the intention was, the notice was going to be about midway through the 90-day challenge. And at that stage, you'd set one particular intention for that end of that 90 days. Would you like to share what that was in terms of like how many clients you thought would be great to connect with before you'd started?
Yeah, so at that point, my intention was if I could just connect with one, I'd get one additional client to work with, then I'd be over the moon. And I was thinking when I left, even if I found, the plan was I'd maybe find a part-time job or something.
You mean on the ground, right?
Yeah, on the ground, find something else and just kind of slowly try and build this up.
Yep. So you were thinking about the transition in kind of stages at first. Yeah. You were kind of thinking, okay, well, if I could get one more client over these next 3 months, I've got this one that I've already started with, then the top up might be local work that kind of brings me back closer to my family and my daughter and that type of thing.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
What actually eventuated?
6. 6.
And that's 6 new clients, wasn't it?
6. Yeah, that's in addition to the team I was already working with.
And that has just been the most fun because every week when we'd hop on a call together, Rachel would be like, and someone else came on board. I did an onboarding this week, and then it would be again the next week and the next week. And actually, I don't recall the exact chronology. You probably remember clearer, but I believe it was about halfway through this 90-day challenge where we said, okay, or you said to me, I think I need to put a halt on outreach because there's starting to be referrals come in and other calls. Like beyond that 6, there were other conversations and discussions, and there still is other potentials, right? So it was kind of like, you were like, okay, well, it's not practical for me to keep reaching out now because now I have to dig into these relationships. Yeah. How did that feel when you'd set this intention to have one and then halfway through you had to like stop the outreach?
I know. I think I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth. I thought it would be just 90 days of intense outreach, hopefully get this one additional client at the end, and then I'd have been psyched and just keep kind of building it slowly. So I couldn't quite believe that I was in that position.
Yes. And it was really interesting for me because one of the first calls we had together, I think I started talking to you about not so much about outreach, but about how that's going to be not too far before you're needing to kind of like pick and choose and refine and what have you. And you're probably thinking to me, Danielle, we're talking about outreach here. Why are you telling me that I'm going to have to slim down my client base when we're on week 1 of the challenge? But it was really interesting because I could just feel that, exactly what I said, that joy and that curiosity of clients just going, I want what she's having in my business, you know what I mean? And that's definitely what has eventuated. So let's kind of chat a little bit about the practicalities of outreach and also your mindset and your thought process around it. So for anyone that hasn't done this before and they're like, what are we talking about this outreach thing? What has been your like practical process? Like what you do, how you reach out, what format, etc. And then as well, share a little bit about like whether you were comfortable with it right away or what you kind of say to yourself to get comfortable with it when you were starting out.
Yeah, sure, definitely. And I mean, I know we've chatted about it a lot, but I think initially kind of the, so way back at the start, outreach terrified me.
So this is before you connected with the first client, before the challenge, like at the beginning.
Yep. Yeah. And I think it was way back before you did the whole big proactive outreach call that you did.
Yes.
Back before then, I think I had this image in my head of like cold emails and horrible, awkward conversations on the phone, and oh man.
Yeah, and you're just like picking up the phone and getting radio silence. And,
yeah. Or just these awkward calls where people had these expectations of you being some kind of like expert, and all the imposter syndrome basically.
Right.
But yeah, way back when. But then I think after that call in particular, that kind of reframed the way that I thought about it. It's just conversations, and there's this just massive need for implementation, and you're not misleading in any way. It is just very transparently, these are the skills, this is how I like to approach my work, and voila.
Can I help? Yeah.
I'd love to help. And I think that was a shift in itself. So then when I started with the outreach, it was a case of, I think I sent a couple of emails to people that I was already like really interested in, but like we've spoken about, very kind of intentional emails. I can see that you're doing this and this. I really like what you're doing. If you ever need somebody for implementation, then I'd love to work with you. That kind of felt a lot more natural.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think all of the clients that I do now work with came from a lot more organic conversations, which I didn't anticipate.
Right. So sometimes it's like 2-liners through Messenger or what have you that spark a conversation or what have you.
Yeah, definitely. Or, I mean, one client came from, we had an existing email relationship. She had an online business. We'd kind of emailed back and forth a few times. And I just happened to mention, it's just, what are you up to? Oh, this is what I'm doing at the moment. Oh, funnily enough, that's what I need.
Yes.
Which was crazy.
And I was excited because when we were working together, I had the opportunity to kind of like review a little bit of the initial correspondence that Rachel was having, not the whole way through, but just to get a feel like if there was anything I'd want to share about, you know, tone or the things she was sharing. But it was just this real, like she's explaining here, natural, organic conversation of expressing that enthusiasm. And what I felt was one of the key things was, and you maybe did this naturally or intentionally, but there felt to be no attachment in the discussion.
Yeah.
It felt to be just an offer, and not even an offer, but like I don't know if offer is the right word, but more a sharing of what you're doing and your excitement for your skills, your excitement for their business. And it didn't feel like I need this client, right? It was more just like I'm making all these connections and who knows what's going to come out of it, but that's not my role to know. My role is to express this enthusiasm and share.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so true. Just detaching from the outcome, like you said, is made such a difference. It was literally, I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just talking to people that I'm naturally really interested in, and I was just enjoying the process, which seemed crazy compared to how I thought about this outreach before. But it was just a case of conversations with people that are doing things that are really interesting, or on a system that I find really exciting.
Yeah, and that's really interesting for me because you had already put in notice at your work. So you had a timeline for replacing your income somewhat. Sure, you've got 2 incomes in the household, but still, you know what I mean? Like you were definitely making like solid progress where you needed to like have a figure out what your plan was going to be. And I feel like, you know, the fact that you got comfortable with your backup plan, and you and I have had an opportunity to chat about that, where you're kind of like, I could get part-time local work, you know, you'd had kind of what was, what's the word for it? Working as an accountant, you know, it's a high authority role, right? And for you to be in that position, in that corporate role, and feel totally fine with, this is my path, this is my dream, this is what I'm doing, and I can get part-time local work to make the transition work. That got me so excited that you had that kind of flexibility to perceive it in that way. Did that, do you think, have an impact on the way, the tone you were coming across with your outreach, knowing that there was those various options?
Yeah, I think it probably did. I think it's, when you talk about the backup option in particular, having that in my head takes the pressure off a little bit. So I can, you can enjoy. You can enjoy the process, and you can do it more in a way that feels natural, rather than going into it thinking, oh my God, I have to get a client now. It was just a case of, okay, let's explore this new territory.
Yes.
And it was just, like we said, just conversations. So it's just getting to know people, chatting to people, enjoying the space. figuring out all the new systems, and that much lighter.
Yes, excellent, excellent. So one of the interesting experiences that came up, and this was one of the earlier ones, was we started talking about communities and, you know, online groups that you would be excited to kind of have a presence in and contribute or research or network with people and just have these conversations. And you got yourself set up in an online community where there is the ability to set up profiles. So there's all these different types of groups online, right? There's the Facebook groups, which is really a hub at the moment. Yeah. You know, you've got LinkedIn groups, you've got Slack channels, you've got private forums that are set up like this one that I'm going to chat about in just a moment. All these different types of groups. Some groups are attached to paid courses or memberships. Some are free and public. Some are specific to freelancers and VAs, or some are specific to online entrepreneurs or different topic areas. But there was one community that you felt drawn to, and you went in there and set up your profile, which is an optional step, right? You could just go into the community, get a username, password, maybe put your face and your photo up there, come back to it in a couple of weeks. But you really enjoyed it, and you shared with me that you just wanted to complete your profile in full. And so you kind of did that straight away when you went in there. Would you like to share what happened there?
Yeah, you're right. I kind of got in the mindset that I wanted to kind of be a little bit more visible, set everything up, same picture across everything as I've been doing. And then within a couple of days, somebody messaged me saying, I've noticed that this is what you do and this is what I'm looking for.
And this is before you'd started interacting in the group, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They've just gone through the directory, like checking people out.
Yep, definitely. I think, and it was literally, within days, because we were speaking
the same week. Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, it was, I'd not posted in the group or anything at that point. I think I'd just been in there having a little look around to see what was going on, set my profile up, and it completely came to me.
Were you surprised still at that point?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I thought, what? I've got a private message.
I've got a private message. Yeah. And you're thinking, it could be one of those ones where like the host has got their admin welcoming me. And,
yeah.
Didn't the host get in touch with you as well? Of the community?
Yeah. We did chat at one point. I think that was where they sent out, when you joined the group, the option to send t-shirts.
Yep.
So I took a picture when I got my t-shirt, like the proud nerd that I am. So I took a picture and put it on the group, and then she sent me a message. Got attached to that was like, wow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because like that's what, you know, that thing that I have in mind about like stepping forward, you know, having that presence. Okay, I'm going to do this, you know. When someone's in a group and they post a thread where you can contribute, you know, okay, contributing on there. You can't do that in every group or every time, because we're all, you know, living life as well, our families, you know, our personal hobbies or what have you, fitness, health, whatever it is, doing the actual client work itself and outreach. But what I think you have been really effective with is being able to pay attention to where you're naturally drawn to, those communities, and having presence and putting your face in there, but not necessarily feeling like you have to be everywhere because you've got to get clients, but more just like being there to enjoy being there and knowing that that's a natural kind of inevitable result.
Yeah, that's really true, actually. I mean, I think there are so many options now, aren't there, with groups and networks. It's just finding the ones that you feel comfortable in.
Yes, exactly. And now there was another group where there's this situation now, if you're new to the freelancer and virtual assistant community, where in certain groups there's the opportunity to do exchanges of work. Like, I'll provide these skills or services for you and you exchange, and people can share on the thread that they're up for an exchange, or to provide free work, or to provide work for $50, or all these different opportunities, not so much to build like a long-term collaborative working partnership straight up, but to actually get to know each other and exchange services and network in a kind of a deeper way than just the conversation. So something came up where there was a free work thread. And so what happened there? Were you able to kind of share what you were offering, or was it an exchange? What happened there?
Yeah, on that one, I put a post. I think at that point, it was quite manageable with the work I was doing. So I thought, okay, it would be interesting. I'll put a post up that I'll do a few hours for a couple of people.
For free.
For free, yeah,
yep.
For free. So I thought, okay, that'll be great. It'll give me a little bit more experience, a little bit more confidence. I might be able to try out some fun new things, meet some people. It wasn't kind of this expectation of any clients. It was just, yeah, this could be fun. See who I could get to speak to. But yeah, I got a bit more of a response than I expected, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And so first of all, what were you offering for free? Was it something specific, or was it a number of hours, or?
Yeah,
it was 3 hours.
Yeah, or was it? I think it was 3 hours. It was 3 hours. 3 hours. It was supposed to be 3 hours for 3 people. And I think it ended up being 8.
And so here's the really interesting thing. One of those people in particular, like, you developed some fantastic relationships through that, you know, skilled up even further and what have you, and built websites as well. And then one of those relationships had, I think it was 2 or 3 referrals come through from one of those relationships. 2 referrals come through.
Yeah, which was insane.
So isn't that just the most fascinating thing? You just never know where these things are coming out of the woodwork, so to speak. It's amazing, totally. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's so true, actually. I think you kind of, not even intentionally plant all these seeds from the things that you're doing, and you don't know what might happen.
Yes. Was there any point where you stopped being surprised? Are you kind of like, oh, this just must be how it works now? Or like when you heard people going, oh, and my friend blah, blah wants some work too. Oh, and are you still surprised? Or are you kind of like, okay, I'm getting to see how this world works now, kind of thing?
I think I'm getting to see how it works, but it's still a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So one other kind of scenario, because I'm really interested in people being able to paint a picture for themselves about possibilities and like all the different types of business owners and ways to connect with them and that type of thing. In your situation, there was a local business owner that reached out to you as well. So how did they know what you were doing? What happened there?
Yeah, that was really, really random as well. It was literally a case of I'd put together my Facebook page, and again, I don't post on it very often. Since we've worked together, I post on it maybe once or twice a week. Yeah. But I think literally I'd created the page. We're friends on Facebook. She spotted the page, and then she approached me because she wanted to find out more about what I was doing.
Wow. So she must have spotted it when you linked it up to your personal profile. Is that right? Because normally you can't tell otherwise, but you linked it up. Right.
Yeah, I think it was that point. Yeah, I linked it up so she'd have had a notification, and she approached me then.
So did you promote it yet, or she was just checking you out through being a friend on your Facebook profile, or had you said, oh, hey, this is what I'm doing now?
No, I've not promoted it at any point. I don't know. No, I think it was literally I just created it, and she'd spotted it, and she'd had something similar in the back of my mind, so she wanted to chat more about what it was I was up to.
Right. You know, it's so funny because you hear all these stories, like you putting your profile up and someone contacting you without you having engaged in that group, or you putting your Facebook page up and someone contacting you without you promoting that page. It starts to get you to wondering there's got to be more to this than just physical labor and action, right? It's the most incredible thing, you know, like when you're like, this is what I'm doing. I'm so pumped about this.
Yep.
And when you're in that action with outreach, some of your results are coming from a direct result of your specific action and focus, and some other results just seem to come out of nowhere. And it's like, okay, well, and not even like a direct referral or what have you, but just literally out of
the sky. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it felt.
Yep. It's like when you're kind of saying to yourself, this is what I'm going to do. It's like, I'm stepping up. It's going to be done, you know?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. So at the moment, kind of like, how are you feeling with your comfort level with the skills? Like, are you kind of like, okay, I've got to learn this next, or are you kind of learning things as those opportunities come up with the client relationships you've already got going?
I think I could learn new things all day, happily. and be like a kid in a toy shop. So it's kind of a case of disciplining myself a little bit. I think even learning stuff is a treat.
Yes. I think this is one of our common threads. Study is the reward.
Who would have thought, right?
Yeah, nerding out about that one.
I know. And I'm thinking back to my accountancy days, and it definitely wasn't like that then.
Right, there you go. Well, you know you're on your thing then.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's very much, I'm trying to kind of be aware of which skills would be like most useful to the clients I'm working with right now, or if there's a specific thing on the team that comes up, I'll kind of step back, get comfortable with that before I tackle it. And then I've got a big list in my head of things that would be good to do. Right.
Excellent.
Definitely.
Excellent. And some of that's probably in MindMeister as well, is it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
We've kind of been exchanging tools as we've gone through this last, few months. So I'd be on screencast with Rachel, or she'd record a screencast for me for one of the things she was doing, and I'd be like, "What's that Chrome extension up on your browser there?" And she'd tell me, I'm like, "I've installed it." And then she's like, "What's that?" We've had a tool exchange going.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me onto Momentum as well.
Oh, you tried it? Yay.
Yes, I'm a fan now. It's a permanent place on the browser tab now.
Oh, it's so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, if anyone hasn't seen that, it's a Chrome extension, right? It's from the Chrome Web Store. Yeah, so it's the kind of home screen when you click to open a new tab in your browser, and you can put your focus for the day. You can also put a little to-do list, but I really love that focus, and it has the most beautiful imagery. Just absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, one of the other tools that we kind of leveraged a lot over this last few months, and that Rachel's using in her own business and for her own kind of personal stuff as well, is MindMeister in MeisterTask. And so when we first started, I think I was on the free plan of MindMeister. The free plan is fantastic. You get 3 free mind maps to kind of flesh out your thought process. And then I was like, no, I have to upgrade so that I can actually collaborate with other people's mind maps. And I can't remember what happened, but you said you had like so many mind maps, and I'm like, on the free plan, you're like, no, I've already upgraded.
Yep.
You upgraded before me. I was like, okay, I've got to upgrade now. It's not expensive. It's like $6 a month or something, but just so worth it. Like I'm just using it for so many things now, for client work and, personal stuff as well.
Absolutely.
One tool in particular that I would like to ask you about that you really took advantage of at different stages, like you may or may not be using it on client work, but for different things you've done, is the Tide Focus Timer, which, I'm such a massive fan of, for that ability to let the mental chatter go and let the resistance go, and to kind of step forward into, this is what I'm going to do. Could you share a bit about what that is and what you've used it for, how it's kind of impacted the way you work?
Yeah, I think when you mentioned that way back on the Bali course, that really, really resonated with me. And what I've found it great for is literally just that mindset shift. Especially, I used it in the outreach stage, just to get through that wall of procrastination and imposter syndrome and all of that chatter. Literally go,
it comes on strong when you're going to send an email to someone you've never met before, doesn't it?
Oh doesn't it just? But it was just a case of, okay, I'm going to put the timer on, and for the 45 minutes or whatever it was that this timer is running, I'm not allowed to question myself. I'm just going to do. I'm just going to put myself in this doing option, and I'm going to just have confidence in what I'm doing and carry on and do it. I can chatter at the end.
Is that what you kind of say to yourself, like of how you're going to use it before you click the start button or what have you?
Yeah.
I can chatter at the end.
Yeah.
You can come back later. Thank you. You're not needed just for this 45 minutes.
Welcome. Yeah, definitely. But I just found it so effective in just kind of like shifting things, clearing the way to do that without that self-questioning, which is massive.
Yep. Amazing what you can get done in the same amount of time, even without having your focus on productivity hacks or what have you, but just letting go of the constant decision making. Should I do this or shouldn't I? What have you, to just decide, commit, do it regardless of what the outcome's going to be, kind of thing.
Definitely. I think that's what was really refreshing about it when you mentioned it in that kind of setting, rather than like the productivity hack, like you say, just the mindset, and just giving yourself that space to do it.
Yep. Have you used it for any kind of like tasks and work, or mainly when you're kind of on like business building activities and that type of thing?
Mainly on that type of thing. I mean, I have used it on work as well, especially if I'm doing something like a research task. I've had a few of those, a research task where I could procrastinate and go down all of these rabbit holes. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. Yeah, you go down all these rabbit holes.
Black holes would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? But yeah, that kind of task where there's that more unlimited scope.
Yes.
I find they're really good there too, just to kind of put that time in place, just to get some focus and, okay, this is what I'm going to achieve by the end.
Yep.
Definitely.
Excellent. Cool. So like I was mentioning at the beginning, I really feel that it's so cool to see you embrace being a newbie and to really feel like, okay, I can focus on the skills and the systems. I think even the last time we got together on a call, I'd said, because clients are already starting to ask you, what's your opinion on this? Can we brainstorm on that? Let's hop on calls together or what have you. And I'd said, are you interested in consulting and providing advice as well as implementation? And I can't remember exactly the words you said, but I very much got this impression of, I'm not in a hurry. I'm just loving what I'm doing. And if it naturally goes there, great. It was kind of like, I just thought that was the perfect kind of space and kind of mindset to be in around it. Is that still how you feel now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. I think I'm just so kind of happy at where things are now, and things are sort of slowly moving. There are different tools, different clients, different systems to work on, and I'm just enjoying this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the mums listening, what's been different since you've been working in the home rather than out of the home?
Oh my word, everything. It's just like night and day. I mean, it's such a different kind of world, isn't it, with the online business world for mums now?
Yeah.
That it's kind of blown me away. I mean, I've been on client calls with Lara running around in the background.
I think you were even, actually, I forgot to mention that, you were even on one initial client call, like not the interview, but the initial kind of catch up, right? I call it the initial Skype call. How did that come up?
Well, I think we were chatting on Facebook, and she was keen to talk to me. And said, are you available now? I said, well, I've got my little girl with me. I'm happy to chat, but who knows what could happen.
Yeah.
And what happened was she ended up bringing her potty into the room.
I don't think we talked about that bit.
No, I don't know that we mentioned that bit, but yeah. But the client was a mum, and obviously I'd explained, and it was just so
and this client is one of the ones where referrals have then come afterwards, right?
Yeah. She's brilliant, and it's just there's just this whole really relaxed human
yes
space.
Yeah. And I thought that was incredible, because even for me, I know that would make me nervous if I was starting out new, and you just did it so seamlessly. And I feel like that was why, I mean, I don't know, it's really interesting, because I know that for some mums, they're concerned the client might think that you aren't able to focus or what have you. And I feel like if you don't think that, it's just not true. I know that I definitely was hung up on that when I first started, right? And it's different now because, Dan's with the kids, so I haven't had to be in that situation where I've been on a call or what have you. But starting out, I know that I would have had nerves, and it seemed that you just didn't, because what you were doing, which I was really impressed with, was you were just kind of giving the client the option. You were kind of like, well, if she's motivated to get going on a business and now's a good time for her to chat, I'm laying the options on the table. If she says yes, that's great. So there's no need for me to be nervous about this. I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm here with skills to help.
Yeah.
And because you had that energy about it, that was the exact response that came out of that. You could sign the client right away, even though it was the very first call. And then referrals came soon after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just kind of both of you, like you said, both of you are kind of comfortable in that kind of expectation. She knows exactly what the score is, so it's, definitely.
Yeah. And then with your other clients, where you mentioned that Lara's been there when you've been on a call, what have you, and it's not necessarily the first call where you're meeting each other for the first time, but it's where you're talking about a project or work or handover or what have you. Well, in those situations, they've already seen your focus and your dedication and your presence in their business. So it's kind of like, from my perspective, it's almost like irrelevant if you're a mum at home blending family and life and your business and your skills together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's kind of having a little bit of that discretion as to, like, sometimes it'll need to be like a planned set call that we know that we're going to be focused and we're going to be talking about this. But if it's more of maybe like a short notice call, or we know it's going to be quite relaxed and they know that they'll still have my focus even though Lara's around, is just that understanding.
Yes.
Like you said, that it's not something that kind of hampers the way that I work. Yes.
Yeah. That must feel really good.
Oh man, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I like you talk about that blending of work and family, and I think that's just such a perfect description. It's incredible.
You don't really realize until you've got that experience firsthand, like how many more hours in the day it opens up. You know, like I can't even begin to think how much time I wasted doing my hair and makeup for years.
I know, right?
Or like waiting at a bus stop, or all this stuff that you don't even realize when you're getting up and you're hanging with your family and having a cup of tea and then like having a shower and sitting at your computer. It's like, it's even a fraction of that time to like be somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And I mean, it's just that flexibility of things as well. Like, maybe the other morning Lara wasn't well, so we had a bit of a lie-in. We didn't get up until like quite late in the morning. She hung out with me for a bit, and then in the afternoon, maybe one of the grandparents came down, I think, for a couple of hours. So I did some work. She was here. Then later on, I had some stuff to do after she went to bed. And it's just, you can just, like you said, the blend. You can shift things around, and exactly. Things are working around family.
Yes.
Rather than the other way around.
Absolutely. It's like we are so fortunate to be living through this change, with the internet. So many times, like, I've just thought to myself, love the internet, and just exchanging value across the world. It's totally life-changing for families, mums and dads and singles, couples, everyone, So it's cool that you're kind of in the early stages of just like experiencing in that. If it's anything like my situation, it's been that one thing or that few things where after achieving it, I'm still stoked 7 years later, almost 7 years later. Like, I'm still like, this is awesome, right? You know how some things like you get, I really want to own a new car. Like, I've owned a new car once in my life, not at the moment, but, and then it's like, it wears off. I really want that job with that company because that'd be awesome. Man, it wears off. And this blending life and work, it just never wears off.
That's never getting old, is it?
No. It's just, kind of like how it was meant to be, maybe. Apart from if we were farming or grazing on the land or something. I always think, unless I was like gardening and being a gatherer, then this is the next thing. Okay, cool. Well, it's been so cool to hear this story again, because of course I had that opportunity to hear it, but now kind of reflecting on it, looking back, is even more amazing. Is there anything else you want to share before we finish up?
No, I don't think off the top of my head. It's just been an unbelievable kind of unbelievable 90 days, to be honest.
Awesome.
To have gone from that literally 90 days ago, being in that corporate world with this kind of idea that I might shift to this kind of family-centric life with this work that I love, was just this massive dream, and the fact that it's happened is unbelievable.
I love that. So you've had an opportunity to reflect on it now, and probably even a year from now, you're going to look back and go, oh, I'm so glad I did that in a sprint like that. Maybe, just like have that appreciation that you drew the line in the sand, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was just kind of drawing that mental line as well of, this is going to be a change, whatever that might look like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And where can people check you out online?
So Facebook, I guess.
Facebook, yep. So Rachel James on Facebook, and your page is there. Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. Yep.
That's probably the best place.
Excellent. Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much, Rachel. So cool to chat today.
Thanks, Danielle.
All right. We'll catch up soon. Ciao.
Okay, bye.